Hey guys, what's up? How you doing? Give me just a moment. I gotta go and post this in the locals chat. It has been 2 days since I streamed, and I feel like I'm out of it already. Also, if anybody normally comes to watch from Twitter, if you watch this later, I'm sorry because my Twitter got hit because I told the president I hope he falls. So yeah, always fun stuff. Let me get everything organized. And hello, my name is Jacob Davidson, and I am a legal layman in North Texas, and I try to learn the law as best as I can. So, thank you for coming by. Hopefully, I will be mildly entertaining for you guys. And, what's it? I have a plan to make a production video pretty soon. I say production. I've been using that term. I plan on making a video that has some quality to it that's professional and not just live streamed and unprofessional. Ow. Sorry, I just saw someone on Twitter try to take a dive into a pool and body flop onto the ground. Yikes. There we go. And my tea was ready. I made it before everybody, before the stream started happening. Alright, so. Elections are definitely secure. Don't worry about a thing. Sorry, I'm mixed in my topics. I kind of just want to look at stuff. Hmm. Well, right, right. My bad. Thank you. Sorry. The Whenever I jump into a party with my friends on like PlayStation, the mic is always too loud for them, so I have to turn it down, and I forgot to turn it back up. Thank you, medic. Yeah, the game's like at halfway whenever I talk with friends, and then I have to remember to turn my gain back up whenever everything's done. I'll have like a note written somewhere to check gain. Alright, this is an article from The Guardian. I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I don't really have any preface for a lot of what I was going to talk about anyway. So, let's get into it. Have some fucking fun. I may not be able to span the 3 hours like I normally want to, but that's fine. Oh. There we go. All right. From The Guardian, half of Trump's fake electors accept immunity in Georgia investigation. The 8 people are now protected from prosecution limiting a possibility of conspiracy indictment. Half of the 16 so-called fake electors in Georgia who sought to falsely declare Donald Trump the winner of the 2020 election have accepted immunity. Deals in the local criminal investigation into the matter, their lawyers said in a court filing on Friday. The immunity dealings to the 8 came in April, according to the filing, after the Fulton County District Attorney's Office called their lawyers and said prosecutors were willing to make an arrangement. About 4 months after, the lawyer asked about the prospect of such deals. With half of the fake electors now apparently immune from prosecution, the scope of the potential conspiracy indictment ensnaring Trump and electors identified as targets in this case may have narrowed. Not least because the immunity deals did not compel any incriminating information in return. So Trump's not going to get in trouble for this, it seems like. The filing also raised new questions about how prosecutors might handle the fake electors more broadly after the lawyer for the 8, Kimberly DeBrow, effectively accused the district attorney of misinterpreting key facts in an earlier motion seeking to have her disqualified. The latest twist in the Georgia election criminal investigation comes as the Fulton County District Attorney, Fani Willis, is expected to ask a grand jury starting on mid-July to return charges against Trump and dozens of people involved in efforts to reverse his defeat in the state of Georgia. Last month, the district attorney's office sought to disqualify DeBrow from the case entirely, citing her client's testimony that they were not told of immunity offers and citing a conflict of interest after some of her clients implicated another one of her clients in a separate crime. In a 68-page brief filed on Friday, DeBrow vehemently disputed the claim, saying that the transcript and recordings of interviews submitted to the court for confidential review showed that none of her clients told prosecutors that immunity offers were not brought to them in 2022. The filing also revealed that the 8 fake electors received immunity deals. 2 of the fake electors whose identities were not disclosed and were, until recently, her clients, had not. One of them is understood to be Kathy Latham, a local Republican Party leader. A spokesperson for the district attorney office did not immediately respond to a request for comment. DeBrow claimed in the filing that the transcripts of interviews with her client showed one of the prosecutors, Nathan Wade, sought to intentionally confuse them by suggesting they were offered immunity last year, though no actual offers have been made before April 2023. In one instance, DeBrow claimed the prosecutor threatened to tear up the immunity deal that was already enforced and binding if DeBrow did not stop clarifying that the discussion about immunity prior to April were only potential offers. Here's the deal. Either this person is going to get this immunity and he's going to answer the questions and wants to talk, or we're going to leave. And if we leave, we're ripping up this immunity agreement, Wade is said to have told DeBrow and her client. Gotta drink this before an hour passes, otherwise it'll get cold. DeBrow also claimed she could find no testimony in her client's interview transcript showing them implicating another fake electors in a further crime, noting that the district attorney's office had refused to say what the alleged crime was or who made the allegations. All the electors remain united in their collective innocence and defenses, and none testified or believed that they or any other elector committed any wrongdoing, much less criminal acts, the filing said. DeBrow added that even if it were true that some of the clients incriminated another of her clients, it would not matter since they could not be prosecuted as a result of the immunity deals. So the elections are absolutely secure, you see? They wouldn't grant immunity to fake electors for no reason, would they? It's secure. I know it's unprofessional to eat on stream, but I woke up pretty much right away and didn't do much to eat before stream started. So, oh god, this is a 600... Yeah, they did say that. It was a 68-page thing. I'll try and break it off into chunks and eat it slowly. I got a protein bar that'll sustain me for a little bit. I can imagine being a menace in Nick's stream if I ever land on one of his trial streams. I'm hoping to get him interested in the Tanner Horner case. If that goes to trial, that might be my first attempt to stream one. Oh, what's up? Complete random? Huh. How do I say no? There we go. This just popped up, so I'm gonna read it. So, Minnesota's new election legislation criminalizes what officials deem misinformation. Oh, I can read through that fucking thing. Oh, yikes. Among the changes found in Minnesota's new legislation package, or election legislation package, signed into law on Friday by Democratic Governor Matt Walz, is a gross misdemeanor penalty for those who spread what officials can deem misinformation about elections. Huh. I forgot to mention earlier. No, I did mention it. That I might be doing something with Legal Mindset pretty soon. But yeah. That's the protein bar. Among changes found in Minnesota's new election legislation package signed by Tim Walz is a gross misdemeanor penalty for those who spread what officials can deem misinformation about elections. Gross misdemeanors are considered harsher than regular misdemeanors and carry jail time of up to 1 year and fines. According to the bill, oh, that would be fancy to get a hold of. Sure. The bill. According to the bill, civil action can be brought against anyone who violates this law within 60 days of an election. Under subhead 2 of the section titled Intimidation and Interference with the voting process penalties, the law is called Deceptive Practices, which prohibits information to be transmitted that intends to impede or prevent another person from exercising the right to vote, and knows them to be materially false. The law also holds anyone accountable who is found to have assisted one who engages in what the bill calls election interference. The law alludes to those who contended that the 2020 election between former President Donald Trump and President Joe Biden was compromised by a variety of methods that include mail-in voting. Historically, American citizens have frequently questioned the results of the elections. However, the intent of this legislation potentially criminalizes that speech. A man who posted memes about the Hillary Clinton campaign during the 2016 presidential election was found guilty in March of one charge of conspiring against the right to vote. Which I will say is a fucking travesty, an utter... If there is anything more false, it would be that this conviction managed to get through. Progressive groups have long advocated for House File 3, called the Democracy for the People Act, which also makes mail-in voting more accessible by removing the process of mailing a request form for a ballot, instead allowing voters to get a ballot sent to their home before each election without having to apply it by the mail. Minnesota consistently leads the nation in voter turnout, and we plan to keep it that way, said Walz in a press release. We know that the more people vote, the more representative our state government can be. This bill will strengthen our democracy, allow future voters to get engaged early, and keep our campaigns honest and fair. The bill also gives convicted felons the right to vote unless incarcerated. That's probably the only good thing about this bill. If the individual is later incarcerated for the same offense, the individual rights to vote is lost only during the period of incarceration, the bill says. I like this. Now make this a Second Amendment thing, Walz. Gotta wait for that to cool down. I have the Sebastian Morning Early Morning Earl Grey. The bill has also implemented automatic voter registration that registers voters not only when they renew their driver's license, but also when they submit an application for state health insurance. According to the National Conference of State Legislatures, AVR is the process by which people are automatically registered to vote as a result of interacting with participating government agencies who transfer information on submitted applications to election officials for them to create or update one's voter registration. Since Congress passed the National Voter Registration Act in 1993, which initiated AVR through the process of applying for a new or renewing driver's license, 22 states have been categorized as an NVRA state, or states. Beginning with Oregon in January 2016, the bill also allows for 17-year-olds to pre-register to vote through an application process that would have them eligible to vote when they turn 18. In addition, the bill lays strict ground rules for disclosure and campaign finances to create a checks and balance system for corporate influence on elections, according to the language of the bill. The fact that Minnesota has some of the highest voter turnout in America year after year is not an accident, said Secretary of State Steve Simon. It is not a coincidence. It is not something in the water. Minnesotans value voting, period. That is a fact that shows up in the laws that we pass and the reforms that we embrace. The bill passed the House 70 to 75 and the Senate 34 to 33, both on party lines. Public confidence. The Republican Party of Minnesota shared in a 2019 interview in which Walz said he wouldn't sign election-related bills unless it were bipartisan. That should be the bar, Walz said. According to CBS News, Republican State Representative Paul Torkelson said Walz signing violates the state tradition of governors only signing bipartisan election bills, adding that the legislation itself misses the mark in ensuring election integrity. We know that many of our citizens are questioning the validity and the authenticity of our elections, Torkelson said. The work we do here should increase their confidence in that our elections are being run fairly, and we don't believe that anything in this bill increases that public confidence. Huh. More Florida. Time to go. But this happened more yesterday, so you know. Florida legislature passes bill banning gender transition care for minors. The Florida legislature passed a bill on Thursday that would prohibit gender transition care for minors and restrict it for adults only. One of several measures aimed at LGBTQ communities that have been passed during this year's legislative session. Governor Ron DeSantis, a Republican crisscrossing the country, as he tests a possible 2024 presidential run, is expected to sign it into law. The legislation goes further than policies adopted last year by the Florida Board of Medicine and Board of Osteopathic Medicine, banning hormone treatments and surgical care for transgender people under 18 unless they are already receiving such treatments. The new bill would codify the ban and penalize doctors who violate it with up to 5 years in prison. Separately, the bill would require adults seeking gender transition care to sign a consent form and prohibit such care from being prescribed via telemedicine. You know, honestly, I think that's a fair trade. Sorry, I got a little distracted. I got slapped off Twitter, and I'm so frustrated by it. Background. The legislature has prioritized bill aimed... The Florida legislature, which ends its annual 2-month session in Tallahassee on Friday, also sent to Mr. DeSantis' desk bills punishing businesses that admit minors to adult live performances, such as drag shows, prohibiting public school employees from calling students pronouns other than those matched to their gender at birth, and making it a misdemeanor trespassing offense for people to use bathrooms in public buildings that do not correspond with their sex at birth. The legislature defined adult live performances and part of those depicting or simulating nudity, sexual conduct, sexual excitement, or specific sexual activities, or the lewd exposure of prosthetic or imitation genitals or breasts. Republicans hold supermajorities in both the State House and Senate. Last month, the Florida Board of Education expanded through 12th grade a prohibition on classroom instructions about sexual orientation and gender identity. The law, called Parental Rights in Education and referred to by as critics Don't Say Gay, applied only to kindergarten through 3rd grade classrooms when it was enacted last year. I needed this for a TikTok thing. Florida. Alright, that'll be near this. You guys are about to see flaming homosexuality when I get to that TikTok. Why it matters? A growing number of states are passing similar restrictions. Why does it matter, though? Tell me. At least 13 states have passed laws or policies in recent months to ban or significantly limit the use of puberty blockers, cross-sex hormones, and gender transition care for gender transition surgery for people under 18. Officials in Idaho, Indiana, Montana, Oklahoma, North Dakota enacted new policies since the beginning of April. Lawmakers in more states, including Nebraska and Texas, have been considering similar limits. The LGBTQ advocacy organization GLAAD has already sued Florida over the state health board's prohibition of what experts call gender-affirming care. Even among the crowded field of extreme and damaging bans on the best practices, age-appropriate health care, this bill stands out as a particularly mean-spirited. The Human Rights Campaign, another advocacy group, said in a statement that after the bill's passage on Thursday, calling it an extreme, unprecedented attack on transgender people, their healthcare and families and healthcare providers who care for them. Florida's focus on gender issues has also promoted rebukes from well-known figures. Dwayne Wade, a former star of the NBA's Miami Heat, recently revealed that he moved out of the state because his family would not be accepted or feel comfortable there. His teenage daughter is transgender. Oh, you poor bastard. And Lewis Hamilton and the 17 Formula One champion said on Thursday that he would race in the Miami Grand Prix on Sunday with a rainbow on his helmet to protest the state's measures. Cool. You can look like an idiot if he wants. What's next? Governor DeSantis will most likely sign the latest bill, because of course he will. Despite the prospect of additional lawsuits, Mr. DeSantis indicated after the session concluded on Friday that he would sign the transgender transition care legislation. You cannot use euphemisms on this stuff, he said. If you have a minor child, you should not be doing sex change operations. You should not be doing puberty blockers. That is wrong, and we're glad that we put a stop to that in the state of Florida. He casts the suite of bills as protections for children. It is wrong to be sexualizing these kids, he said. It's wrong to have gender ideology and telling kids that they may have been born in the wrong body. The governor, who has not yet started a 2024 presidential campaign, is scheduled to speak to Republicans in Wisconsin on Saturday. Mitch Smith contributed reporting, and Patricia Mazzei is the Miami bureau chief covering Florida and Puerto Rico. So I'm guessing this person. Cool. So this is an interesting article I saw with interesting implications. So 7 found dead at Oklahoma property, all found with gunshot wounds to the head, basically. Head of gunshot wounds is a weird way of writing that. This is all on you, rapist wrote woman who was ready to testify against him before 7 found dead in Oklahoma. Wait. Wait, so he... If the article is to be believed, then this means that this guy went and killed 7 people because someone was going to testify against him. Ugh. A Facebook message arrived Sunday night. Jesse McFadden wrote that he was doing well at a marketing job and he had made a great life. Just like I promised I would do with you. Now it's all gone, he said. His message went, which he sent with a photo of himself staring directly at the camera. I told you I wouldn't go back, and this is all on you for continuing this. Hours later, authorities found the bodies of McFadden, his wife, her 3 teenage children, and 2 other teens who were at the McFadden home for a sleepover on Wednesday. The police chief leading the investigation into the killings in the rural Oklahoma said that McFadden, a convicted rapist who spent nearly 17 years in prison before his release in 2020 release, had likely shot all six in the head before killing himself. The message, first reported by Oklahoma Fox affiliates, was sent to a woman, said she was set to testify against McFadden in a child sex abuse trial scheduled to begin on the same day the bodies were found. The woman, Caitlin Babb, 23, provided the message to NBC News. It was sent from the account with the name Holly Days. The police chief leading the investigation just outside Henrietta, Oklahoma, Joe Prentice, said he had reviewed the messages and wasn't sure if it was before or after the killings. In an email, Prentice said that he wasn't willing to read too much into it. It seemed to me that he was blaming her for the situation for continuing the criminal case against him, he said. In an interview, Babb provided a harrowing account of how McFadden allegedly lured her into a predatory relationship as a teenager, convincing her from prison that they had a future together, and threatened her when the relationship was revealed and charges were filed. She said that she read the messages as McFadden blaming her for the killings because she refused to back down from the child pornography and soliciting sexual conduct communication with the minor charges. I thought I was protecting people, she said. I thought I was going to keep him from hurting more people. She added, he took away my innocence, my childhood. I don't want him to do that to anyone ever again. Instead, Babb said the worst possible scenario played out. She'll never see justice, and 3 families are grieving the lives of Ivy Webster, Brittany Brewer, Michael Mayo, Tiffany Guess, Riley Allen, and Holly McFadden. Babb said the failure of the prosecutors to ever try the case filed in 2017 and hampered by what she describes as years of delays, signaling a miscarriage in the state's justice system. They could have prevented these deaths, Babs said. This never should have happened. I don't know how many times I told them, he's a dangerous man, you're putting little girls in danger. I don't know how many times I screamed at the top of my lungs for someone to care. Now look at what happened. Muskogee, I guess. County District Attorney Larry Edwards did not respond for requests to comment. A story that cites Edwards for KOTV, a CBS affiliate in Tulsa, reported Tuesday that a trial had been set multiple times for over the years and delayed because of several factors, including an early prosecutor leaving the job and another breaking her foot the day before the trial. Bab, a manager for a health insurance company in Texas, said she met McFadden by accident in 2015 after moving to Oklahoma from Texas to live with her grandparents. She had a new phone number and one night got a message from McFadden. He was trying to reach the person the number previously belonged to, she said. Bab responded, a transplant with no friends in her new town. In McFadden, she found a person who seemed friendly and genuinely interested in her. She said he didn't disclose that he was in prison until later and described his rape conviction as a misunderstanding, Bab said. McFadden asked for proof of her age. Bab said so she provided him with an image of her learner's permit. The back and forth quickly turned sexual, she said, and his request became increasingly invasive. It was no longer, can you take your shirt off and take a picture, she said. It was, how far can we get without seeing each other in person? I knew I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing, she said. He made me feel like he cared even though I was only 16 years old. I felt like he loved me. I was brainwashed, Bab said. New sex abuse charges. The text, letters, and phone and video calls continued for at least a year and a half, she said, even after her grandparents discovered a letter in her bedroom and reported it to the Oklahoma Department of Corrections. Bab's grandmother, Patsy Papin, said McFadden had addressed it to a P.O. box that Bab said he'd asked her to open. McFadden signed the note as Bab's husband, Papin, recalled. I was absolutely reeling, said Papin, 64. Inmate profile documents from the department show that on July 8, 2016, a prison official confiscated a smartphone from McFadden. A forensic audit showed sexually themed conversations, videos, and pictures with a person whose name was redacted but whose date of birth, which was included in the document, matches Bab's. Charges against McFadden were filed September 29, 2017. Court records show a lawyer for McFadden, Rex Starr, has not responded to multiple requests for comments. A court document shows McFadden planned to argue that it wasn't McFadden who was in contact with Bab, but another inmate using the same phone. He was sick. After the phone was confiscated, McFadden continued to call Bab, she said, and she'd become so compliant to McFadden's demands that at one point she drove roughly 2 hours from her grandparents' home in Norman to the county courthouse in Muskogee to ask them to drop the case. The charges prompted a shift in McFadden's demeanor, Bab said, and he began threatening her. It all turned for her at that point, Papin said. Bab said she dropped out of high school, left her grandparents' home for Texas, and slowly stopped responding to McFadden's calls. Eventually, Bab said she blocked his number and told district attorney that she would testify against him. I realized he didn't love me. He was sick, she said. It was all made up. Ready to testify on the Sunday night, Babs was preparing to travel to Oklahoma the next day for her long-awaited day in court. She had not spoken to McFadden in years when she noticed a Facebook message request from around 8 p.m. Initially, Bab was confused about what McFarland's message meant. Perhaps he had lost his job and was blaming her for it. She recalled thinking the message also suggested that he must not really care anymore, she said, because contacting her was a violation of the terms of his bail. Babs said she didn't respond, took a screenshot and sent it to Edwards, the Muscogee County District Attorney. The next morning, Bab got a call from the prosecutor alerting her to another delay in the case. McFadden's lawyer had asked for a continuance over an issue related to McFadden's phone, Bab said. Half an hour later, Bab said the prosecutor called and told her of a missing persons notice about McFadden, Brittany Brewer, and Ivy Webster. Bab said she immediately packed a bag and rented an Airbnb 45 minutes away. I was terrified that he was coming for me, she said. The days since the bodies were discovered, Bab said she experienced an onslaught of emotions, guilt, anger, frustration, and grief. To Papin, she's seen something else through the shame and humiliation that she said her granddaughter has been grappling with for years. She wanted to be heard, Papon said. She's resilient. She would not back down from this. I'm so proud of her, she added. Huh. Someone's angry. She's a lot of profiling in this comment section. I get where people are sick these days. You gotta look at the whole family. What car you drive, where you look to eat, where you like to eat out at, your friends, grandma's cats, everything. I gotta know where to look if I gotta hunt you down for my kids. And this includes extra touchy uncles as well. She didn't know, apparently. He lied and lied. He was malignant. He was a malignant, narcissist, psychopath. Once you're next to them, it's near impossible to get away. Well, you're blaming the mom and not the killer. Wait, you're blaming the mom and not the killer? I am indeed placing some responsibility on the mother, and I stand by it. The story makes it clear that it was public knowledge. They served time for the conviction, and that this should all have been. It's all she should have needed to hear. Period. If you're alone, it's your risk. But when you have kids, that's entirely different. Blame goes to the man who did the crime. Blame not the woman who let him into their lives. Yes, they would be alive if not for her choice. For a poor one, no woman needs. No woman needs a man that bad. You don't know that they would still be alive or not. He still could have killed them even if she didn't let them come back. We don't know if she did or not after he got to jail. Jesus Christ. Blame the MAGA guy? He's not a MAGA guy. He's firmly Democrat. Only Democrats like Joe Biden do stuff like this. Oh wait. This first. Pentagon implements law requiring they provide mental health services after a lengthy delay. Oren Lieberman. Nice, cool down. The Pentagon has begun implementing a law that requires they provide mental health services for troops seeking help after a delay of more than a year. On Friday, Under Secretary of Defense for Personnel and Readiness, Gilbert Cisneros, signed a policy to implement the Brandon Act, requiring the military services to provide a mental health evaluation and to allow service members to ask for help confidently in an attempt to reduce the stigma around the mental health. I would maybe advise against this, because the Pentagon, being the ones to do this, would probably immediately strip your rights to your gun rights with like fucking red flag laws. The services have 45 days to implement the Brandon Act for active duty troop. Our greatest strength is our people, and we're committed to their well-being, Cisneros said. CNN first reported earlier this week that the implement was expected to be announced Friday. The law is named after Brandon Caserta, a 21-year-old sailor who took his own life at a naval air station Norfolk in June 2018. In letters to his parents and to his friends, Caserta said he was constantly hazed and bullied in the Navy, and he saw no other way out. It took way too long for something like this to take place, Terry Caserta told CNN earlier this week. A bill like this that can save military service members' lives we should not have had to fight this hard. After the Brandon Act was passed into law as a part of the 2022 National Defense Authorization Act, it languished for more than a year as the Defense Department said it was working how to best implement the requirement of the act. For over a year, I've been working with Brandon Caserta's family to push the Department of Defense to implement the Brandon Act, which will help servicemen access mental health support they need, said Democratic Senator Tim Kaine on Friday. The Casertas lost their son under unimaginable horrific circumstances and have turned their grief into an effort of helping other service members. I'm glad the Department of Defense is finally implementing the important bill to honor Brandon and prevent future tragedies, Kaine had added. I mean, to be honest, they probably would... This is going to sound really bad. I think they're only as mad as they are because he killed himself and didn't die in the line of combat or the line of duty. It is tragic, though. This shouldn't be too exciting, just, you know. Oh god. Yeah, it's not that long. Gen 6 riders received the longest sentence yet for using pepper spray chair to attack police. A man who stormed the Capitol and attacked police with pepper spray and a chair during the Jan 6, 2021 riot was sentenced to more than 14 years in prison on Friday, the longest sentence yet. U.S. District Judge Amit Mehta sentenced Peter Schwartz, who is from Kentucky, to 14 years and 2 months in prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release on Friday. The sentence surpasses the previous record, 10 years, the retired New York Police Department officer Thomas Webster received in September. The Justice Department had sought a 24-year sentence for Schwartz, who was convicted in December of assaulting and other felony charges. Prosecutors indicated that Schwartz had an extensive criminal history of 38 prior convictions since 1991. Several that involved assaulting or threatening officers or others in authority. I mean, it was kind of the founding of our nation that we did that, so I mean, like, buzz off. Schwartz and his wife at the time, Shelley Stalling, joined other rioters at the Capitol's Lower West Terrace, where he threw a folding chair at officers. Prosecutor Jocelyn Bond said in court filings that Schwartz directly contributed to the police line falling, and the rioters being able to take control of the entire terrace. The complaint that detailed the allegations against Schwartz states that he used pepper spray against officers who were retreating. Schwartz also worked with two other rioters as they advanced to a tunnel to spray an orange liquid at officers who were facing off with the rioters. While the streams of liquid did not directly hit any officers, its effect was to heighten the danger to the officers in that tunnel, Bond said. Prosecutors said Schwartz also participated in a heave-ho push against police in the tunnel before leaving. Stallings pleaded guilty to the charges she faced last year and was sentenced to 2 years in prison last month. Schwartz's defense team had requested that he only be sentenced to 4 years and 6 months in prison, arguing that his actions were based on a misunderstanding about the 2020 elections. They specifically blamed former President Trump for misleading Schwartz. Right. There remain many grifters out there who remain free to continue propagating the great lie that Trump had won the election, Donald Trump being among the most prominent. His attorney said, "Mr. Schwartz is not one of these individuals. He knows he was wrong." But Mehta said he did not believe Schwartz felt remorse for his actions. Prosecutors said Schwartz bragged about being involved in the riot and claimed he was a political prisoner. "You're not a political prisoner," Mehta said. "You're not somebody who is standing up against an injustice or fighting against an autocratic regime." I mean, he is, and you're a bitch. God, if I was going to get 14 years in prison, I would have gone for broke and said, "You would like to think that, you utter bitch." With that, should probably take a break. A small intercession to, fill in the time, relax. See if I lost subscribers for some reason, because that's what's on my mind. If I wrap this up pretty early, I think I might do more readings of the Federalist Papers. So I won't end early. But with all that said, it is a good time to go talking about something that's very important to me and probably will be good tasting to you. What about it? It's the fucking Dragon's Treasure, a haven for anime and tea lovers. I cannot recommend this place enough. I have a code at the bottom left of the screen for a very good reason. The Dragon's Treasure is a very, very good place for tea. I've been drinking the Sebastian Morning Earl Grey vanilla cream tea, and it is damn good. It's why I got a bigger mug for it. My mug used to be about like this sized, and that was depressing, so I got this one. Use code Layman for 10% off of your purchase. Remember that. Code Layman for 10% off. I forget I have enough space to fit my whole hand in there now. And the man also sells tea ware. So you can get yourself a kettle, you can get yourself a strainer. Everything. All good stuff comes from Dragon's Treasure. And remember, use code Layman for 10% off. Hear that? That's the automatic brewer. It keeps it warm. It's lovely, isn't it? I think I might end up wrapping this up pretty soon. Maybe. I'll probably find a couple more stories along the way. Bombshell reports reveals U.S. officials bust migrants away from the southern border centers and beefed up staff before VIP visits to cover up chaos. What the hell? It's the Daily Mail. I trust them implicitly. Where's the news article? Just gonna hit the camera up real quick while I try to sort this out. Refresh. Just woke up and saw that my stream. Holy shit. So Aussie Overlord. Hold on, this needs to get this needs to be seen. God damn it, my stuff. Here. Sorry, Aussie. I will undo the banner. Fuck. Here we go. Aussie Overlord. Just woke up and saw that my stream of King Charles III royal coronation at Westminster Abbey has received 10 separate copyright claims. How the hell can you claim the Lord's Prayer and other prayers said during the services is beyond me, and it's frankly disgusting. True. Very true. Prayers are free and open. It should not be claimed by anybody. Oh fuck. My tea timer's out. Do I need to undisable dark mode? Okay, found the issue. I have to be bright as shit for a little bit. Bombshell report reveals the U.S. Officials bust migrants away from the southern border centers and beefed up staff before VIPs visit to cover up chaos. Border agents were ordered to transport asylum seekers away from the frontier. A damning probe said it was to hide the reality from visiting VIPs. Thousands of migrants planning to sneak into the U.S. once emergency COVID laws expires. U.S. officials bust away migrants and inflated staffing levels during the VIP visits to mask the chaos of the southwest border, a bombshell report has claimed. The revelations came in damning probe into the Department of Homeland Security handling of the migration crisis. They also follow repeated calls from Republicans to renew Trump-era COVID diktat that allows U.S. troops to boot illegals more easily. There we go. The report by Government Accountability Watchdog grilled more than 9,000 border officials who painted a bleak picture of how authorities are coping. They told the Office of Inspector General said that the VIP visit to frontier posts would see bosses orchestrate a cover-up. Top management would transport migrants out of the facility before a visit and return them after the visit ended, the report said. The source said he was able to take would-be asylum seekers and make this place look fit and proper to code. Border agents speaking off the record also claimed that senior managers would require more staff to work, creating an impression that they are sufficiently staffed. They said visitors are not shown how or how conditions are in reality. A 65-page tirade about the Inspector General investigators on how the DHS is failing its employees. The damning assessment by border and immigration officers mark yet another border humiliation for Joe Biden. The president has been repeatedly slammed by Republicans over his axing of Donald Trump's border wall 2 years ago. The OIG is also said that border forces are struggling to cope with the increased number of migrants sneaking into the country due to low staffing levels. The report said that the situation is unsustainable in the battle against the illicit crossing across the southern border, or southwestern border, frontier. It also warned that many agents could quit or retire early unless working conditions improve. Staffing at the border has not grown at the same pace as the flow of migrants and the traffic into the country, officials wrote. Investigators said that last year there were just 16,654 border agents, levels that have barely changed in 3 years, facing 180,000 illegal crossings each month. The report calls those crossing migrants encounters U.S. government jargon for when asylum seekers get in illegally but are arrested or immediately kicked out. But the findings said staff were so overstretched that it has resulted in less enforcement in the policing of the border. Staffing for the U.S. border agencies is the responsibility of the commander-in-chief, who can use executive orders to ramp up numbers. The report said hiring has already hit authorized level, but it's called on Biden administration to consider whether they were adequate. But the Department of Homeland Security dismissed the idea of reviewing, saying there was no funding available to do so. OIG investigators said this meant asylum seekers could escape in the U.S. more easily. They said there were more than 600,000 gotaways who were spotted by border cameras or sensor technology last year, up from 389,000 in 2021. They are asylum seekers who escaped capture or who were able to cross freely into the U.S. because no agents were available to respond. Officials also found that were just 1,414 deportations officials on the U.S. southwestern frontier struggling to cope with 18 cases on average. And an estimated 13,000 people could try to cross the border each day after the expiry of Title 42, the emergency anti-immigration law used during the coronavirus pandemic. The powers drawn from nearly 80-year-old federal public health law allowed both Donald Trump and Joe Biden to kick out migrants without hearing their cases. expires on May 11th because the current president has decided to end the emergency, or the COVID emergency. Thousands of people who have already started gathering at the border between the U.S. and Mexico in hope of making the crossing. But a senior Biden administration official blamed Republicans in Congress for blocking fundings and reforms to fix the U.S. immigration system. The White House has deployed an extra 1,500 troops to join the already 2,500 who are already stationed on the frontier between U.S. and Mexico. House Republicans are pushing a MAGA agenda, of chaos and inaction. They're playing politics when they should be joining the president in pursuing real solutions, the source said. Hey, whoever the source is, you can go fuck yourself right in the ass. I'm willing to bet it's that Kian Jean-Pierre little bitch, isn't it? At least 2.3 million migrants tried to illegally cross the United States, into the United States across the Mexico border last year, according to U.S. Customs and Border Protection. That is up to 1.7 million people in 2021, and just over 450,000 in the previous year, when much of the world was locked down during the pandemic. I don't know. Can we maybe just shoot them? Oh, fuck. Might just go back for another read of the Federalist Papers. Seems like a thing to do. Huh? Something came up, sorry. Ah, fuck. Alright, so I'm going to share with you something a friend shared with me, and I am so ready, so ready to just fucking... I didn't like it whenever I saw it, but then I realized, oh wait, I got free food here. This will be great. I can stream this and this annoying little cretin. I should thank my friend for the meal. Alright. Undo that. Ring of Fire Media, by the way. Some dipshit who, I guess, thinks he's got something to say. So, everybody ready to hear this? Here we go.
That he abused his
Wait, I should probably...
officially filed a lawsuit against Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, alleging that he abused his power to punish the company for exercising their constitutional rights to freedom of speech. Now, the big question a lot of people, including myself, have is, okay, well, DeSantis started this fight with Disney this time last year when they first voted in that legislative session to strip you of your special tax district after you spoke out about the Don't Say Gay legislation.
And this is where I immediately decided I didn't like this guy.
So why did Disney wait?
Because he calls it the Don't Say Gay legislation because the retarded bald idiot cannot, for the life of him, decide, that it's actually the parental rights in education, House Bill 1557, because, I guess chameleon skinheads are just deciding that they don't care what things are actually called, like this jackass. So every time someone says don't say gay, parental rights in education, House Bill 1557.
Wait a year before hitting Ron DeSantis with this abuse of power lawsuit. Honestly, I think at this point, after, sitting on this story for hours and hours, I think it's actually pretty obvious why they waited. Disney, much like the heroes in their movies, waited till their enemy was at the weakest to strike the biggest blow.
Fuck.
Yesterday, Disney World officially emphasizing speech their constitutional rights to freedom of speech. Now, the big question a lot of people, including myself, have is, okay, well, DeSantis started this fight with Disney, first voted on this, actually pretty like the heroes. The enemy was low ago, was untouchable. Ron DeSantis 6 months ago, right after the November election, was untouchable. He was basically already anointed as the guy that was going to dethrone Trump, become the 2024 nominee, and possibly the president. But then the public got to know Ron DeSantis.
Yeah.
Then the public got to see how Ron DeSantis' special little board down there in Orlando kept getting put through the ringer and outsmarted by Mickey Mouse. The public as a whole is laughing at Ron DeSantis. His donors are fleeing. His poll numbers are tanking. Everybody is seeing that the man is incapable of talking about substance. All he has is culture wars and vengeance. We saw his trip overseas earlier this week, and I'm not running for president yet. Like, the world is laughing at Ron DeSantis right now. And
Is
Disney moved in for the death blow. Now that you are weak, now that you have been exposed, now that everybody sees you for who you are, we're going to hit you with this lawsuit. Now, here's the thing about the lawsuit. I actually think Disney, stands a great chance of winning. But it doesn't matter if they win or lose. All they have to do is make it to discovery. Because DeSantis' office says, hey, listen, whoa, this was not about political retaliation. It was just about their special tax district, which is stupid. We don't like that. There's more than 100 of them throughout the state.
Oh, man.
Florida, by the way, folks. Just so everybody knows, throughout the state of Florida, by the way, folks. There's more than 100 of them throughout the state of Florida, by the way, folks.
Special districts?
Just so everybody knows, Disney's not the only one with a special tax district. There's more than 100 in Florida alone. None of those.
Oh yeah, is there? Let's check that. Special districts in Florida. Current. Oh yeah? Independent special districts in the state of Florida own governed by more than 30 statutes involving over 500 local governments. Is this talking about municipalities? Special districts provide them a special purpose. When I get Twitter access back, I'm definitely going to ask Mindset about it.
Other folks got touched, which only bolsters Disney's case. Like, if this was about special tax districts, you would have done it to everybody. And you wouldn't have waited till immediately after we spoke out about the Don't Say Gay legislation. So clearly this is political retaliation, and we were exercising our First Amendment rights. You've now violated our constitutional rights. You've violated your oath of office. You're a piece of crap. We're going to win.
Crap. Like 3 hours left.
But as I said, all they got to do is get to the discovery, because DeSantis's office says there were no plans, there was no plotting, there was no scheming. Cool. We're going to find that out when Disney gets their hands on all of your internal communications. When they get your emails, when they get your text messages, the internal memos. Because you can't tell me that everybody in that Florida state legislature, all the way up to Ron DeSantis at the governor, just on a whim, everybody suddenly had the same idea to take away Disney's special tax district. Nobody coordinated with anybody else to make that happen.
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
No?
No. All it takes is one line. One line in one email to prove the abuse of power here. If any one person writing to or from Ron DeSantis said, "Did you see what Disney said about the Don't Say Gay legislation? How can we..."
And to reiterate, Parental Rights and Education, House Bill 1557.
Go after them. You get that line, which I can pretty much promise you is going to be found somewhere. You get that line, Disney wins right on the spot. So all they have to do is get to discovery to expose how corrupt this administration down here in Florida is. And I don't think it's going to be hard for them to find that.
He's basically bald liberal Alex Jones. God damn it. Is he like, how many of these has he done? Any more about...
Yesterday, Ron DeSantis' hand-picked board that now oversees that special district where Disney sits down here in the state of Florida, they voted to sue Disney. So this little oversight board of the Central Florida Tourism Oversight District
So the response to Disney suing over retaliatory first aid violations. I don't think these people know what I know. Yeah, here we go.
Says we're now suing Disney because, of course, they sued us. So we have no choice. They sued us. We got to sue them. Here is what one of those idiot board members, Martin Garcia, said. Oh, he's the chairman. He's not just a board member. He's the chairman. He says...
This was posted 1 day ago. I'm gonna make a TikTok. I've been planning on making it to kind of spread out and then get some people from TikTok over here on Rumble and Twitter, or on YouTube. So hopefully that'll pan out.
Since Disney sued us, yes, we didn't sue Disney. Disney sued us. We have no choice now but to respond. Yes, we'll seek justice in our own backyard. We have no choice. You sued me, so now I have no choice but to sue you. That's not how lawsuits work, pal. Even though you're suing, as you said, in our own backyard because, you know, you want the friendly district, it's not going to help you because one thing you didn't do is explain any kind of case that you may have. Because your board already voted to nullify those agreements that Disney had passed right before you took over. So you can't sue over the things that you already voted to nullify. I mean, legally, you can't do that because you already undid those things. Well...
Oh, my good friend, you gave me so much food. This guy is an idiot.
Oh, you did undo them, but the undoing of the things is not going to hold up in court because Disney did follow the letter of the law.
Oh, did they? Did they? That's a pretty bold claim for someone who doesn't know shit about Florida law, apparently.
Right? Disney even alerted Ron DeSantis' office that we are going to do these things and we are providing you the notice that we're going to strip your incoming board of all of their power.
But did they notify everyone in the district? So not only do they have to give... Going off of memory from what I remember of Andrew's reporting of this, they have to give first notification, a waiting period, or some period between the first notification and the first meeting and the second notification of a second meeting. And if you promote one notification of one meeting and the second meeting is supposedly about the first one, it has to be substantially similar. Not only that, it can't be the title of the thing, it has to have full disclosure in it. And Disney did not do the first two of those things. And not only that, there's many other problems, which Andrew went through. And I'm oh so glad I am better at this than this stupid fucking jackass.
As we're required to tell you that we're going to do that before we vote on it. But Ron DeSantis was... wasn't in Florida. He was out there traveling the country doing his little book signing tour. So, Disney did it. They followed the letter of the law. You can't sue them for that. Your lawsuit is going to get laughed out of court even if you find the friendliest judge imaginable, Mr. Garcia. And I think you know that. And I think you should also know that you can't sue someone just because they are suing you. Because Disney is suing.
This guy is also an idiot for this. You can sue anybody for any reason under the sun. It just takes a little bit for the suit to get slapped down, but still the cost of the suit would be, you know. Yeah. I have... I'm gonna have so much fun with this. I'm gonna need to make a TikTok pretty soon. The Ring of Fire media cannot stand with its own bullshit. It needs to be washed.
Suing over the board voting to nullify that, which legally you can't do because it was already passed by the board that had the power at the time. Those laws supersede the new law nullifying it. But here's what's really happening here. Mr. Garcia and the rest of the morons on that tourism oversight board down here in Florida, they're not suing Disney because they think they have a case. They're suing Disney because they have to keep looking tough because Disney, Mickey Mouse, has basically made a fool of all of you. But most importantly, Disney's made a fool of Ron DeSantis. So really what you're suing over is the fact that Disney has made Ron DeSantis look like an incompetent buffoon, and you're mad about that. Because if Ron DeSantis gets mad, if he gets made to look like a fool, he created you, so y'all are all fools by extension. So you got your feelings hurt, so now you're suing one of the biggest corporations on the planet who has more money to hire the best lawyers that have ever existed in the United States. So best of luck with that. You're not going to win at all. And if you were worried about looking like a moron before, just wait until the judge gets a hold of this case and makes you all, including Ron DeSantis, feel even dumber. Yeah.
Oh, man. I've never seen a man with such confidence shit in his own face that hard. I mean, maybe a couple times, maybe here and there. Hold on, I gotta find this group on fucking Twitter. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. Ring of Fire Media. Hard-hitting news, free from corporate influence, featuring Mike Papantonio and Farron Cousins. God damn. I gotta get his speech pattern. Could you imagine how annoying it would be if someone used his own speech patterns against him? God, it would kill me out of frustration. Oh man. All right. So I think maybe No, I got one more story. I got one more in the chamber. This is like a week ago now, though. Ugh. Here we go. Shima Fagan resigns as Oregon Secretary of State following cannabis consulting scandal. Oh no. Oregon Secretary of State Shemia Fagan will resign next week, a stunning fall from grace from top Democrat who once looked like a good bet to climb to higher office. The secretary announced Tuesday that she will step down on May 8th. The resignation is the swift reaction to a mounting scandal over her decision to accept lucrative side work as a cannabis consultant. Her deputy Cheryl Myers will step into position until Governor Tina Kotek appoints a successor. Fagan's announcement followed days of escalating fallout over revelations first reported by Willamette Week that she'd inked a $10,000 per month contract with the owners of an Oregon cannabis chain at the same time that her office audited state regulations on cannabis businesses. The cannabis entrepreneurs are also in high-profile Democratic donors. I will say to this, the fact that this is a scandal in a state should reflect easily in Congress. Nancy Pelosi did insider trading, and that's basically what this girl did. But Nancy Pelosi gets treated with normality when stuff like this happens. Fagan first sought to paint the arrangement in this line with state ethics rules, a position she continues to hold, but major supporters privately signaling bewilderment at her decision. Top Democrats calling the behavior into question and increasing scrutiny over the actual consulting work she'd performed. The secretary canceled the agreement over the weekend. On Monday, she took questions from reporters after issuing a written apology. Now she's stepping down. While I'm confident that the ethics investigation will show that I followed the state's legal and ethical guidelines in trying to make ends meet for my family, it is clear that my actions have become a distraction from the important and critical work of the Secretary of State office, Fagan said in a statement. Protecting our state's democracy and ensuring faith in our elected leaders. These are the reasons I ran for this office. These are also the reasons I will be submitting my resignation today. Under state law, Kotek will name Fagan's replacement. It is not immediately clear Tuesday when the governor plans to make the decision. Fagan's resignation is the final step in what had been a remarkable change in the fortune for the Democratic secretary. A week ago, Fagan was hosting student essayist and photograph contest winners in a sleepy, feel-good press event for release of the latest edition of Oregon's Blue Book Almanac. 2 days later, her political future was in immediate jeopardy following revelations of her contract work. She never recovered, though the reality of her situation was not always clear to Fagan. Political allies said they spent the weekend informing Fagan of how just serious her blunder was. That appeared clear to Fagan on Monday during her 30-minute press conference to offer more details about the consulting work. The secretary maintained she followed state rules, but acknowledged she had broken the trust with the public. I'm not here to defend my rule following, Fagan said at the time. I'm here today to own that there is a difference between following all the rules and doing nothing wrong. Roughly an hour after the conference ended, Fagan's chief of staff, Emily McLean, submitted her resignation. McLean offered to stay on through the end of the legislative session, but made clear she reserved the right to change her mind. Allies jumping ship. Fagan partly owed her success in 2020 Secretary of State race to financial backing and strong supporting from the state's three largest public employee unions. In recent days, these allies questioned whether they could ever support her again in a run for office. Melissa Unger, the executive director of SEIU Local 503, the state's largest union, said Tuesday the scandal was taking attention away from the important work being done at the state capitol. Lawmakers need to pass a budget and make sure they are building housing and building affordable housing for this state, and we hope the process moves quickly so Oregonians can get back to what is important, Unger said. This is a longer story than I thought it would be. Unions weren't the only allies ringing alarm bells. Top Democratic lawmakers said they were deeply concerned about Fagan's consulting work, and Kotek said she personally spoke with Fagan about the matters last week. I support this decision, Kotek said in a statement. It is essential that Oregonians have trust in their government. I believe this is the first step in restoring that trust. The legislature's four top Democrats, House Speakers Dan Rayfield, House Majority Leader Julie Fahey, Senate President Rob Wagner, and Senate Majority Leader Kate Lieber, said in a joint statement that the breach of trust brought on by Fagan's actions became too wide for her to bridge. Her decision to resign will allow the state to move on and rebuild trust. Fagan's May 8th departure will occur roughly a week before a May 16 election she would typically oversee. As the state's top elections officials, Fagan said county elections officials and Myers, her deputy, are well prepared to carry out a smooth election. This is a resilient agency with strong division leadership and internal systems that can withstand change, Myers said in a statement. This is an unfortunate situation, but a change of leadership will allow agencies and staff to continue their good work with less distraction moving forward. It is now up to Kotek to choose a replacement for Fagan. She must choose a Democrat. She must choose a Democrat. Must she? Wow, interesting. In 2019, then Governor Kate Brown's office reviewed more than 20 people when Brown was tasked with replacing former Republican Secretary of State Dennis Richardson, who died in office. Brown previously interviewed 3 people and made clear that she would only select a placeholder secretary who had no interest in running for election. Brown wound up naming Bay Clarno, a former Republican House Speaker, to the office. Kotek's office did not immediately respond to the questions about how she would conduct her selection process. In a statement Tuesday, Brown urged Kotek to appoint a replacement who does not want a long-term job. Going forward, I believe that Governor Kotek should follow the standard I set and appoint someone who will not put their personal political interest ahead of the administration of the 2024 presidential elections, Brown said. This will be the most consequential election of modern history, and any appointee must be solely focused on restoring America's faith in our electoral system and not their own elections to the secretary office. Friendly relationship led to contract. The beginning of the end of Fagan's political life, it seemed came when she met Rosa Cazares and Aaron Mitchell, the owners of a La Mota chain of cannabis dispensaries. The pair has since been the string of stories by Willamette Week, which detailed how much they failed to pay taxes and been sued by vendors, even as they became major Democratic donors. Fagan said Monday she met with the couple in 2020 as she ran for Secretary of State. She soon began seeing Cazares and Mitchell's socially, and the pair donated a total of $45,000 to her political campaign. In February, Fagan has said she mentioned to Cazares that she started teaching the Willamette University Law School to pad her $77,000 salary as the Secretary of State. Cassara has offered up another side gig, helping her cannabis company expand beyond Oregon's borders. The contract Fagan signed was remarkably vague about her duties in exchange for $10,000 a month. Fagan was to serve as consultant of the company. Fagan could earn a $30,000 bonus anytime LaMotta was awarded a license to operate in another state other than Oregon and New Mexico. Fagan said Monday she spent roughly 15 hours a week researching cannabis regulations around the country, but she also acknowledged calling Connecticut Lieutenant Governor Susan Berzwitz, whom she knew through her official duties, to inquire about the state's cannabis rules. Fagan made that call on behalf of Cassara's and Mitchell's company. Crucially, Fagan's decision to accept the consulting work came as her office handed an audit with a potential major upside for LaMotta's owners that audit of Oregon Liquor and Cannabis Commission regulations. Released last week, was highly crucial of the state's current regulatory landscape. It urged policymakers to consider relaxing rules. Fagan recused herself from the oversight of the audit prior to accepting the contract. By the time, however, the report was all but complete. It's clear from public records that the Secretary urged auditors to speak with Casares as the auditors set to work dissecting and critiquing LLCC's rules. Despite a widespread acknowledgement that Fagan's actions were ill-advised, the Secretary has not been found to have broken any rules. The Oregon Government Ethics Commission, which enforces ethics laws, has received 2 complaints into Fagan's conduct and is likely to weigh in with a formal decision, and the Department of Justice, at the urging of Cotex, is planning to look into the OLCC audit the Secretary of State's office released last week for signs of bias. Auditors have been adamant that while Fagan was able to order them to conduct audits, she had no role in their ultimate findings. Fagan's resignation marks the second time in a decade that one of the state's top elected Democrats leaders was forced to resign in an influence peddling and scandal. In 2015, Governor John Kitzhaber stepped down in the face of a ballooning scandal that involved consulting work accepted by his fiancée, whose work as an unpaid advisor in the governor's office. Oh wow. Ugh. So yeah, Democrat leadership in Oregon. With Portland. Who would have fucking thought? But yeah, all good fun and bullshit. I'm gonna see if there's any funny stories that came up. Any other news? I don't want to end the stream so early. I'll save the Federalist Papers for its own dedicated stream. Oh. Democrat senators urge Biden to allow states to sponsor non-citizens to expand workforce. A group of Democratic senators are urging President Biden to allow states to sponsor non-citizens for work authorizations in certain industries to expand work. Oh, okay. The senator led by Majority Whip Dick Durbin, Democrat from Illinois, said in a letter to Biden on Friday that the United States is facing major workforce shortages in multiple industries. The economists believe that 2 years of lost immigration amid the COVID-19 pandemic is responsible for almost half of the workers who are missing from the labor force. So a mild blame on Trump, I suppose. Sorry, I'm kind of interacting with a friend. A letter to Biden on Friday. It's no surprise that the state leaders have called for immigration reform to meet their state's workforce needs. Without such reforms, some businesses have closed their doors. Others have hired workers without authorization, leaving such workers at risk of artificially depressed wages and poor work conditions, the letter says. It's not a long story. The senators said of the migrants who have come to the U.S. across the southern borders are ready, capable, and willing to help meet the country's workforce needs, but they said many have struggled to find work because the immigration system's legal and logistical obstacles. They noted that immigration laws require an asylum seeker to wait 6 months to receive a work permit, and the application process can take almost a year because the processing times. But those who receive parole to enter the U.S. can immediately apply for work authorization. They said congressional action to provide pathways to citizenship is long overdue, but unlikely to happen in time to address the workforce needs. The senators said the Secretary of Homeland Security can issue a parole on a case-by-case basis to meet humanitarian needs or when granting parole would cause a significant public benefit to the United States. They added that the end of Title 42, which has allowed the United States to more easily expel immigrants or migrants and deny them asylum during the pandemic on Thursday, is expected to cause an increase in migrants coming into the country at the same time as states are in desperate need of workers to ensure access to health care and to lower the cost of food for Americans. Allowing these states to opt into a lawful, orderly, and efficient parole program to meet workforce needs in critical industries would provide an enormous public benefit to all Americans, the letter states. Along with Durbin, the letter was signed by Senator Tammy Duckworth, Sheldon Whitehouse, Mazie Hirono, Cory Booker, Alex Padilla, Peter Welch, Bob Menendez, Kristen Gillibrand, Angus King, That is an outstanding name, not gonna lie. Elizabeth Warren, because of course, and John Hickenlooper. I love these names so much. Ah, damn it. My T-shirt. Hold on, I gotta post that. Spilled tea on my shirt, call that a T-shirt. Alright, I'm sorry. I feel like a comedic genius sometimes. I think that'll be the show. Honestly, I don't have very much of any other topics. Outside of, you know, wanting to lambast this fucking Ring of Fire thing. Man. What the hell? Hold on. Also, this guy's apparently fair and balanced. Fair on balanced. The only fair and balanced I know quit YouTube. God damn it. So yeah, before I wrap up the show, which is unfortunately too short today, Dragon's Treasure, a haven for anime and tea lovers, is a fantastic place to find your tea. The mana potion, I'm willing to bet that this is a... I'm gonna call my shot here. I think it's a green tea. This is a black tea with some oolong and vanilla cream, as well as some orange peels. This, I believe, is a green tea. Let's see. Green tea! The color of the leaves help to give it away, though. Restore the magic that flows through you. Drink up the cast of those fireballs and lightning bolts. Be sure to give the tea a good swirl so the blue energy will spread the whole drink, and enjoy the sweet nectar to its fullest. So yeah, you got an herbal or rooibos tea, which doesn't have any orange in it. Despite the orangey coloring of it, it's not orange flavored. Use code Layman at checkout for 10% off of all your purchases at the Dragon's Treasure. You can get this great green tea. I hear a lot of good things about the mana potion. Sebastian's Morning Earl Grey, that's what I was drinking throughout the stream, and it is fantastic. As well as a red chocolate cake tea flavor. I should probably try that one out pretty soon. You can also get a strainer thing and a kettle. Also, this little invention is from the Dragon's Treasure as well. So remember to order your tea and kettle stuff from the Dragon's Treasure and get 10% off of your purchase with code Layman. It is well worth the price. It knocks a fair amount off this deal. If you buy a lot, it saves a lot too. I never understood that logic, not gonna lie. The more you buy, the more you save. It's a little weird, but I kind of get it. And with that, whenever my Twitter access gets restored in like 2 hours from now, I will go back and get in touch with Legal Mindset about a video. I've started a new channel on YouTube. The new channel is supposed to be for pre-recorded content. It's called Legal Layman Content, or for short, LLC. I'm very funny. I guess I should pull that up real quick, so people who are watching can see that. So remember, if you guys are ever curious about any long-form content that I might be doing in the future, hold on, it's loading. There we go. So whenever I start posting videos, I don't know, I kind of did this in a rush. The channels are basically the same. It's just this one, I guess I will probably edit the background of it or the overall look of it so it has like the thumbnail look for the content, and I'll off color or change the coloring of the live stream thumbnails to meet this as well. I guess I should probably pull it up. So Legal Layman Content. So Legal Layman Home or Featured. You can find it hopefully at Legal Layman Content. It's linked to the actual channel, my channel. So if I go to your channel right here, which this should be the one that I'm streaming with. Yeah, right here. Yep, you got... So the channel is linked in Legal Layman and Legal Layman Content. You can find it here in the channels. I hope this little featured thing goes away sometime soon, because I'd rather it not pop up when it could... Oh, I should have... Oh, okay. On home, I should have the featured content be the streams as well. Okay. I think I just figured out this YouTube thing a little bit better. But yeah, that's where the long-form pre-recorded content will go for my more planned or scripted ideas. I plan on doing something of a narrative sort with the Disney topic, because I think it's worth being told about the downfall of Disney's special place. So yeah, with all that said, I think that's where I'll end the stream. Thank you for everybody who came. Thank you for anybody who will come to watch later. Remember to like and subscribe on YouTube and Rumble. Follow me on Twitter. I have locals, which you can subscribe to if you would like to support my my content and my endeavors. I'm hoping to use that as a way to get into this full time, and it will be a pleasure to be able to make content for you guys. legallayman.locals.com is where you can find me. And thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it sincerely. I'll see you guys next time for the next stream, when I hopefully have a little bit more to talk about than the lack of stories for the day. I'll probably do like a discussion stream tomorrow. Hopefully get someone on to fill in some time and chit chat with the viewers. So yeah, because I got enough now. I've got more than enough, more than I thought I'd ever get. So, with that said, thank you for coming. Thank you for watching. And hang loose.